planning to propose my girlfriend but having second thoughts because of her Pornstar past. My name's David, I'm 32M, and I have a bit of a dilemma on my hands. And for some reason, like many before me, I'm turning to internet strangers. I don't know if I'm looking for advice, someone to tell me my feelings are valid, or someone to set me straight. I don't know. For 11 years, I was with Sarah, 32F. We met at college, not the American kind, the British one where you typically go between 16 to 18, became friends, fell in love, and got together just after college ended. My oldest daughter, Emily, 14F, was just a baby when we got together. Sarah had her at 18 and the biological father has never been involved. When she was 4, I legally adopted her. We then went on to have 2 more kids, Lucy, 8F, and Noah, 5M. 4 years ago, around the time of my youngest's first birthday, Sarah and I split up amicably. We remain really good friends and co-parent our kids well. We share a week-on/off routine. However, our doors are always open on our off weeks. Our reason for splitting was simple. The romantic love we shared had become platonic. No arguments or fights, just a change in feeling. Sarah has since moved on with a new partner, Jessica, 29F, and they've been together for a year. This wasn't a shock, as she'd always been open about her bisexuality. Jessica's great, and the kids love her. Not long after the breakup, I noticed a new girl start at my gym. I knew she was new because if you train at the same time every day, you tend to get to know the regulars. Man, this girl stood out for all the right reasons. She was heavily tattooed, had this wonderful olive tint to her skin, and the most inviting brown eyes. She had golden brown hair and was thick in all the right places. If you were to draw my ideal woman, she was it. Honestly, I'm a solid 6, and this girl was a 10, way out of my league. She was also the type of girl you'd look at and just know that she was a nice person. She had the kindest eyes. For the next few weeks, we'd pass each other in the gym and curtly nod and smile at each other. Nothing you wouldn't do with anyone else. I'd try my best to steal a glance at her while simultaneously trying not to look like a creep. One Friday morning, we both happened to be squatting in the racks next to each other. I'm very much a headphones on, dialed in type of trainer, so I don't tend to make small talk. While I was putting my plates away, I noticed she got stuck at the bottom of a squat and was struggling to get up. As any normal person would, I ran toward her and helped her get the weight off her back safely. We finally got to talking. Her, "Thank you so much. I thought I was gone there. Maybe I should take some pointers from you," winks at me. Me, goes pink. "Anytime. I'm David, by the way." Her, "I'm Mia. Lovely to meet you, David. My knight in shining armor." Me, goes beet red. "Well, lovely to meet you too, Mia." Starts to walk away. Her, "Hey, I was serious about those pointers, you know." Me, "I'm here the same time every day." Mia and I started training together every day, and on rest days we'd be constantly texting. We connected on so many levels. We liked the same bands, movies, and TV shows. We started taking turns driving each other to and from the gym, and in the space of a couple of weeks, we'd become best friends. I knew that I was falling for her, but I couldn't imagine a girl like her ever liking a guy like me in that way. I came to find out that Mia was 30 and a tattoo artist who came from a Portuguese family. Her parents had moved to the UK before she was born. They own a restaurant in town. She had one brother and a son named Lucas, or Luke, currently 6M, who was the product of a holiday romance when she was visiting family in Portugal. Her son's father is as present as he can be and visits his son every couple of months. I obviously also shared my story with her, my job as a teacher, my kids, and my relationship with my ex. After around 2 months of becoming friends and getting to know each other, something wonderfully embarrassing happened. I was driving Mia and myself home from the gym when Sarah called. I was worried that it was about the kids, so I asked Mia if she'd mind me answering the call, hands-free obviously, and she didn't. Sarah sounded quite ill on the phone and proceeded to explain that she and the kids had come down with the flu. She then let me know that my oldest, Emily, wouldn't be able to come to watch Home Alone 1 and 2 in the park with me that weekend, a tradition of ours at Christmas time. She ended the call with, "Maybe you should ask that Mia you talk about all the time. It would be a lovely first date." Embarrassed, I turned to Mia to apologize, but before I could say anything, she just said, "I'd love to." The setting was perfect. They'd put up a marquee with a giant screen in the middle of Butte Park. It was decorated with tea lights, and we were given a soft mat to sit or lay on with cushions and blankets to keep warm. Gradually throughout the evening, we got closer. She put her hand in mine, and eventually she ended up lying on my chest. Every laugh she let out caused an avalanche of butterflies in my stomach. Between the first and second movies, she looked up at me. I stared into those brown eyes and without thinking said, "God, you're beautiful, Mia." She slid up and placed her palm on my cheek. I just said, "I'm sorry, I know you're way out of my league, but She cut me off. "I've been waiting for 2 months for you to ask me out." She placed her other palm on my second cheek and pulled me in for a kiss. In that moment, I just knew. I loved her. We dated for 3 months before deciding to introduce each other to our families. My kids loved her. She's still Emily's favorite person, and so did my parents. The first time I met her family was, well, eventful in all the right ways. She took me to her parents' restaurant, where I'd meet her parents, Miguel, 55M, and Carolina, 56F, and her brother, Santiago, Santi, 25M. Her son was the star of the show. He was only 3 at the time, but I could already see my older girls doting on him, and my son and he being the best of friends. We hit it off perfectly, and the food was incredible. Having drunk a few too many super box, Mia thought it'd be best that we stay above the restaurant in her old room. As we lay on the bed, in my drunken stupor, I said, "I love you, Mia." She kissed my cheek and whispered, "I love you too. Now get some sleep." I woke to see Mia sitting up awkwardly next to me. She asked if I really did love her or if it was just a drunken slip of the tongue. I told her that I'd never loved a woman as much as I love her. She took my hand and said, "I need to tell you something." I was worried she'd cheated or didn't feel the same. What I wasn't expecting was what came out of her mouth. "David, I love you. I really do. But if this is going to work, and I mean really work, then there's something you need to know. In my early 20s, before I opened my shop, I was working as an apprentice at a tattoo parlor in town. Tattoo apprentices don't exactly make a huge amount of money, and with my parents not being able to help me financially, I had to find other ways of making money. I decided to start making adult content under an alias to supplement my income. I never had any partners, just solo stuff, and to a degree, I enjoyed it. I stopped when I became pregnant with Luke. I don't want us to have any secrets, and everything I posted has been taken down. Can you accept me even though that's in my past? I just looked at her and smiled. Of course I can, you idiot! I pulled her close to me and we made love for the first time that morning. It wasn't just sex. In those first moments, I've never felt more connected to someone. I took in every little detail of her body, the little freckle on her left hip, the way she'd shudder as I placed my hand on the back of her head. Everything. We haven't looked back since. Mia and Luke moved in with us last year. We're still just as, if not more, in love than we were. Her shop's taken off, and I've been made the new head teacher of the school I've worked at for years. I've even bought a ring and am planning to propose in 2 months when we take the kids to the Christmas movie in Butte Park. But yesterday something happened that stirred up some feelings about my relationship. On a Friday afternoon, I tend to leave school early so I can pick my own kids up from their schools, head teacher's privilege, and do some admin work in the evening to make up the hour missed. While I was browsing my emails, one came up with a link and a series of numbers. I don't know why, but I clicked it. It took me to a website that needed a PIN to enter. I entered the series of numbers from the email. It opened and I was greeted with a banner that read, "Leaked, the forgotten hose of the internet." The featured model? Me. I stared blankly at the screen for I don't know how long. Could have been 5 minutes, could have been an hour. Mia walked in and screamed, "What the hell are you looking at?" I managed to calm her down and explained, showing her the email. But as we tried looking into the sender's details, another email popped up. It had a sort code and account number as the subject, along with a message that read, "I'm sure your children and the parents from your school would love to see what their wonderful head teacher's lovely girlfriend used to get up to in her spare time. Send P2200 000 to this account. You've got 8 weeks or this becomes public." I felt like I was second-guessing my whole relationship. I was struggling to detach my Mia from the woman on the screen. Was that wrong? I never thought about Mia in that part of her life. I never thought I'd see it. And damn, I haven't got 20 grand. After a couple of days, I decided to speak to my best friend for a bit of advice. My best friend also happens to be my dad, Paul, 53M. My parents had me at 20. My bio mom was pregnant at 19. When I was 3 months old, she decided that she wasn't the maternal type, so she booked it. Her family was never bothered either. When I was 5, he met my stepmother, Lana, 49F. They were both in uni studying nursing. Now, the word stepmother no longer describes Lana. She filled that maternal role perfectly. I call her mom. She refers to me as her son. Apart from DNA, in every way, that woman is my mother. She's done nothing but love me since I was 5 years old. I think that connection I had with my mom was a big reason I was so happy to be a father to my oldest, Lila. Sorry, I went off track there. So I spoke to my dad about what was going on, explaining my concerns about Mia and my relationship, along with the worry about the blackmail. This is when he stopped being my friend and became dad. Michael, I have never seen you so happy. She is the reason for that. You chose to accept her knowing her past, but now you question it when you're actually faced with it? Look at the relationship she's built with the kids and what you've got with Frankie. Don't let something you've already known for the past 3 years ruin something special that could last your whole life. Don't worry about the money. We can sort that if needed, but before you think about paying that money, remember how I taught you to deal with bullies? Hit first and ask questions later. Those were the words that I needed to hear. And I knew he was serious because he called me Michael. He only ever does that when he's serious. It was a Saturday and my ex had the kids. Frankie was also with them as they were going to a theme park, and Molly didn't want him feeling left out. I grabbed a few bottles of beer. Mia's a beer drinker, which for some reason makes her more attractive. Her favorite tonkatsu, and headed to the shop to meet her after work. I got to the shop, which had shut at this point, and couldn't find Mia anywhere. I finally found her sitting under the counter, sobbing. That killed me. It was the moment I knew I would do anything for her. Any pain she felt, I felt. I put the food down, cracked open 2 bottles with my teeth, and sat on the floor beside her. Through her sobs, she spoke. Mia, I never wanted you to see that part of my life. You must think I'm disgusting. Me. That person I saw on the screen is a part of you. Therefore, that person is a part of me, Mia. You're the love of my life. I love you knowing your past. I'll love you in our future. Mia, you're not gonna leave? Me, nah, slips a box between her knees. Mia, what's this? She opens the box, eyes widened. Me, I was going to wait until the Christmas movie in the park, but I couldn't. Mia, I love you more than you could ever know. Want to be my gym partner forever. Mia breaks down in my arms. Of course I will. I thought you were going to leave. Me, never. So yeah, I'm the 6th that's gonna marry a 10. We told the kids, and they were ecstatic. We organized a meal with both of our families at Mia's parents' restaurant. There we announced that we'd be getting married, and they were all overjoyed. The mothers cried. The fathers were clearly emotional but held back. Molly tearfully agreed to be my best woman. Santi, Mia's brother, came to me and put his hands on my face. So, I'm finally getting a brother then? He agreed to be a groomsman and to take on the task of organizing the stag. All in all, we couldn't have asked for a better reaction. After the excitement settled, Mia and I decided to tackle the situation with the leak head on. For a little bit of damage control, we decided to tell the kids about Mia's past in an age-appropriate way, which was difficult. Tilly, Milo, and Frankie didn't really understand, but you could see that the conversation made Lila quite uncomfortable, as it would with any 14-year-old. My father's words rang in my head. Hit first, ask questions later. So, after some discussion, Mia and I decided to fight back. We called Santi this morning, explained the situation to him, and asked for his help in finding who sent the email. For context, Santi is a heavily tattooed men's physique competitor. Not what you'd expect from an IT nerd, but he is. The guy is literally Clark Kent. If Clark Kent was a software engineer who taught coding by night. Anyway, I digress. He agreed to help us as long as he didn't have to see his sister's, He arrived around 4 hours ago, did a lot of IT stuff that I have no business even trying to explain. However, what really shocked me is that he was able to obtain the IP address of the sender of the email. From the IP address, he was able to find something called a postman. Essentially, he found the network the computer that sent the email was attached to. Santi tracked the sender back to our address. From the IP address, he could tell that the email was sent from a PC. There's only one PC in our house, Emily's. Hello, it's been a couple of weeks since my last update and it's been busy. There's a lot to cover, so bear with me. When we found out it was Emily who sent the email, we were absolutely heartbroken. Mia especially. They'd really bonded over a love of art, and Emily seemed to really look up to Mia, expressing that she wanted to be a tattoo artist too. She'd spend hours on Sundays sitting with Mia, tattooing oranges and eventually fake skin. Mia was even considering letting Emily tattoo her on Christmas Eve, using a kit she'd had specially made for her. Well, I don't think I've ever seen Mia so hurt. When we found out, my kids were at Molly and Megan's place for the weekend. Frankie's dad was visiting for the week, so Mia and I decided to head straight over to my ex's place to confront Emily. When we arrived, our kids weren't too surprised, as it's quite a regular occurrence to pop over to each other's houses on our off weeks. Molly could see the look of anguish on Mia's face and pulled us to one side. We explained to her that we figured out it was Emily who sent the email threatening to leak Mia's old posts. She was obviously shocked, but insisted we have my parents take Tilly and Milo before we confront her. Once the younger two had gone, Mia, Molly, Megan, and I sat Emily down. Mia started, "Anna, Emily, I know, sweetheart. I know you sent that email to your dad. I've never felt so violated. Any pictures of me from back then were meant to be taken down, gone." Emily breaks down. "Emily, pictures? What pictures? He made me send that email. He told me if I didn't, then he'd make sure he'd take me away from Dad." "Me, the link in the email you sent Emily had pictures of Mia from a long time ago. The pictures were of Mia with no clothes. You should know that. You sent the email." "Emily, I didn't read it. He messaged me what to say." "I didn't read it, honestly. I just hit copy, paste, and send. I couldn't have him take me away, Daddy. Mia, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry." "I mean, who's gonna take you away, sweetie? Who's he?" "Emily, my father." "Me, what are you talking about? I'm here, Emily." "Emily, not you, my biological father. I've got the messages to prove it. Please, I'm so sorry." Silence lingered for a little while before Molly broke the ice. "I didn't think you knew who he was." For context, Craig, 40M, or Emily's sperm donor, got Molly pregnant when she was 17 and he was 25. What we've been told by Molly is that he was an emotionally manipulative older guy who'd managed to convince her that they were in love. When he found out that she was pregnant, he ran. He didn't want the stigma of being the grown man that knocked up a teenager. Molly didn't know much about his family, but had heard that they followed him. Molly felt completely taken advantage of, and unfortunately, due to the age of consent in the UK being 16, legally, there was nothing she could do. Disgusting, I know. Molly was sat looking almost numb. Megan moved closer to her and gave her a tight embrace before Emily spoke again. "He found me, Mum. I never needed to know about him. I knew enough about how he left. I've always had a dad, and when he threatened to take me away from Daddy, I got scared. I'm so sorry to all of you. I should have come to you first, but I thought I could make it all disappear." Mia was the first to comfort Emily when she broke down a second time. "It's okay, sweetheart, we've all got you. But you need to show us the messages so we can help." Emily went upstairs to grab her phone. She opened Instagram and showed us the messages. It seems like Craig had been following Emily for a long time. He'd been keeping tabs on her through there. On a day when Emily had posted a picture of her and Mia at the shop, he decided to message her. He introduced himself as an old friend of her mom's and questioned who the lady in the picture with her was. Emily had tried to ignore him, but the messages kept coming. She told him to leave her alone, but the messages asking about the lady in the picture wouldn't stop. Emily eventually messaged back bluntly, "It's my stepmother." He then replied, "But I'm single, Emily." Confused, Emily replied, questioning what he meant. This was his reply. "I'm not sure if your mother ever told you, but your father, Mikey, isn't your biological father." "That's me, Emily. The reason I've not been in your life is because truthfully, I never fancied being a father. but I'm in a bit of a bind and I think you could help. Do you know who your stepmother is, Emily? I was a big fan of hers. You know, I think I still have all of her pictures and the videos. I'm sure the internet would absolutely love the return of Aurora Blue. What you're going to do for me is simple, Emily. I'm going to send you an email template for you to send to your dad. You're then going to send it from an anonymous email address, which should stop the email from being traced back to me. I've got myself in trouble with some bad people. I need P200-00. Do this for me or I will contest your adoption and have you taken away from Daddy Dearest and Sweet Mia. Do you understand? Message me back when it's done. Emily was inconsolable. Mia and Molly comforted her. For some reason, seeing my daughter in this state washed all anger I felt away. I just wanted to console her, reassure her that she'd be okay. In those moments, everything else, all the outside noise, was gone. It was time to be a dad. I got everyone's attention. Emily, give me your phone. She gave it to me, and I simply put it in a drawer. I turned to Molly. You know what to do. Emily and I will go get the snacks. You three can set up. Molly smiled at me. Good idea. You see, when Emily was little, whenever she got upset, she would curl up in a blanket and watch a movie, typically something Disney. When Molly and I noticed this pattern, we decided to make it a family thing. I'd take Emily to the shop to get snacks and pop, and while we were out, Molly would turn the living room into a cinema. We always said to her that she should never be upset alone. This was something we'd done with all our kids, even after the divorce. On the drive to the shop, I told Emily that the adoption meant that no one could take her away from me, and no one ever will. She sobbed for a while, and for the first time in a long time, the teenager sat beside me was my little girl. She needed her daddy. My heart broke for her, but at the same time, a part of me felt happy that she still needed me. The five of us spent the afternoon and evening watching some of Emily's favorite movies, and she seemed to cheer up. The next day, I'd come to a decision. Craig had hurt my daughter, Mia, and Molly so badly, it couldn't go unpunished. I took Emily's phone and messaged him. This is Mikey. Meet me at this address on the 30th of November and we can talk about getting you your money. Come alone or the deal's off. I sent him the address of Mia's family restaurant. I'm not giving him any money. In fact, Santi, my dad, Mia's dad, and I have a plan for Craig. I'll update in a few days when the meeting's done. It's been 6 months since my last post. Sorry it's taken so long. Again, a lot to cover, so strap in. We'd arranged to meet Craig on the 30th of November. He arrived at the restaurant with a smug grin on his face. Like I asked, he came alone. I told mine and Mia's fathers, as well as Santi, to leave Craig and me in the private function room. They obliged, but assured me that they'd be on the other end of the door. He sat at the table opposite me with his shit-eating grin, and our conversation began. Oh, Craig, have you got my money, Mike? I'm too old for this fucking Guy Ritchie sit-down you've brought me to. Me. We'll get to the money, Craig. I want you to answer some questions for me. Can you do that? Craig, I'll humor you, but keep the old men and the geared-up nerd outside, deal? Me. Fine by me. I just want to know why, Craig, why you chose to stalk my daughter's social media. Why did you try and manipulate her? Why bring my fiancé into this? Craig, how long have you got? My reasons for following Emily are probably not what you'd expect. I never had any more kids, Josh. Never really wanted them. But from time to time, I check up on your daughter and picture what it would be like if I was her dad. I'd sometimes do it just for comfort, see what her life is like, see if she's happy. A few months ago, I borrowed some money from the Greeks, 10 grand to be exact. I used that money to pay off some debts I had to some of the roadmen on my estate. I've got a bit of a coke habit, Josh. The day I messaged Emily, the Greeks had caught up with me. They told me I had 8 weeks to double their money or there'd be consequences. And I can't imagine those consequences would exactly be pleasant, Josh. Me. What the f*** has this got to do with my family? Craig, I was getting there. After the Greeks came to my flat, I went back to my happy place to look at your daughter. And who do I see? Aurora fucking Blue. I was a big fan, Josh. I'm not just saying that. I must have been a subscriber for her whole adult career. She had everything. The body, the hair. F*** me, how often do you see a porn star with kind eyes? Honestly, I probably spent the year or two she was online fantasizing about meeting her, being her man. you know? May, please move on, Jesus Christ. Craig, I'm fucking getting there. When Mia, announced she was taking her sights down, I kind of scrambled to save as much of her content as I could. Save it for a rainy day, maybe? Well, that rainy day came, and at the same time, an opportunity presented itself. I knew Perfect Daddy Josh was a teacher, a head teacher, in fact. What's the take home, Josh? 80 grand? And I know that Aurora's got some of that slut money left. Crack. As the words left his mouth, I'd cocked my right arm back and hit him square on the nose. I could feel his nose shatter as I hit him. Mia's father and brother bolted in and pinned him to the wall. He looked at me, spat some blood, and laughed. My money, Michael. Mia's brother hit him in his gut. There is no money, I replied. It was my turn to speak. You see, Craig, I never was going to pay you. I spoke to my school governors. They support me regardless of what happens. Mia and I have agreed to accept whatever comes out. We have each other. Who cares? I'm living your dream, you sad little prick. The daughter you threw away, the woman you lusted over for years. Mine. Craig laughed and replied, I thought you'd say something like that. The leak's already out. 200 subscribers and counting since this morning. PS 10 ahead. I'll get that money soon, I think. I just wanted to see if I could get any more out of you. I pulled my phone out and stopped recording. I looked at him and winked. I told Mia's father and brother to do what they wanted with him. I don't, nor do I want to know what they did with him. It won't have been pretty. My old man and I just left. We picked up Mia and went to the police station. We handed in the evidence, and Craig was later charged. The charges included coercion of a child, extortion, and following a search of his flat, possession of Class A substances with intent to supply. He's been sentenced to 10 years. Mia's old posts were taken down again. We just hope that no more comes of it. We're just thankful that the police actually came through for once. You could tell that Mia was still feeling down, but a few days later, an opportunity presented itself for me to change that. I received a call from the company running the Christmas movie in the park event. They were letting me know that it was canceled as only my family's ticket had been bought. I could see why. Christmas with the Cranks was being shown. In that moment, I had an idea. I asked to buy all the tickets for the evening, no matter the cost. I arranged for all of our family and friends to be there. I even flew her grandparents over from Portugal. On the day of the event, I had Hannah take Mia out shopping and to have their makeup done while I helped my in-laws prepare a load of food for the event. My parents had all of the kids while we prepped. When we arrived at the marquee, it was perfect, the same setup as our first date. Mia arrived shortly after, convinced by Hannah to wear a white dress as planned. Frankie ran towards her and handed her a veil. Her father took her hand and walked her toward me. The surprise of the moment turned to realization. I took her hands in mine and asked, "Shall we do it then?" She smiled, nodded, and allowed me to brush away the tears. So yeah, that's how I ended up marrying the love of my life. It seems like the perfect place to end this update as I post this from the Algarve, soaking up the Portuguese sun. Mia and I had our second wedding celebration yesterday with her extended family here. And before some of you ask, yes, we still had to watch Christmas with the Cranks, unfortunately. Life's good.